Okay, this is a demonstration on how to create your ear form. So the ear is a little more complicated form than some of the other ones. Here's a giant plaster ear. So it has quite a few parts and it does stick out. So that's why we created the base to help you with. So you should have your third block of leather hard clay. So please get that out. If you have not smoothed the edges of the block, make sure you are taking and smoothing it. So leather hard, remember, is you can push into it with your thumb, but it's really easy to handle. It's not super soft and plastic. So after I've smoothed the edges out, it's a really good idea to write your name and class shape on the back of it. You guys can use your stick. I'm using a needle tool, just so that you don't have to try to lift it up after you've already done this, and then your class shape. Okay. So I've got this basic form, then I need my slip, and then you need your scoring tool and some soft clay. And you'll want to work fairly quickly as you're building it. The other tool that is going to really help you today with the ear is the loop tool. Okay, so I'm going to start with the subtractive method, but you can, and then go to additive, but you can move back and forth as you like. So with your stick or a pencil, or a needle tool, you are going to draw, and the pencil will just burn out, the basic shape of an ear. So you're just going to take and draw that basic shape. Remember, we practiced drawing ears in the video, and with watching the video, you might want to go back and watch that or look at your own sketch. So when you're looking at this, that can help. You could also have a picture of an ear open. Look at your own ear in your phone or something like that. So I'm just getting that basic shape, and I'm going to do the subtractive part first. It's also helpful to kind of draw guidelines or guidelines to help you when you're starting to build it. So I'm going to take my loop tool, and it does help to kind of turn it at an angle, and I'm going to use the corner part of it because it's smaller, and I'm going to just carve it. And the best way to carve, if you've ever done printmaking, carving, you've known this, is to turn it. If your clay was not leather hard, you would not be able to do this very well. Okay, now that's the inner part. There, my ear just fell. But I want to come out here and carve away a little bit of this. And you could actually carve away the whole ear if you want, or leave it on its block. But I'm just going to come around and carve away some of this excess so that it looks like the outer part of the ear. So if your block is not leather hard, you need to get it leather hard to do this. Okay, so I can either get rid of all of this excess clay or just leave it and smooth it later. So I'm doing the outer part of the ear form. So this is the subtractive sculpture part. Who knew you'd be doing sculpture? A lot of times we do functional work, but this is actual sculpture work. And then I'm going to come down here and carve some of this away too. If your piece is really leather hard, you could spray it with water and put it in a Ziploc for a little while and soften it up. You should work quickly though, because if you touch it a lot, your hands will dry it out. So I'm just sculpting away that outer part of the ear, and then I'm going to come back in and sculpt away some of that inner part. The other videos that are on, that I will put in Schoology and that we watched at the beginning of class are very, very helpful, because you can watch them and pause them, and they really show the anatomy of the ear. So make sure you are scraping away any clay boogers as you begin to form that. And this got a little chipped at the top, but I can go back in there later and add some clay. And so I'm just sculpting away around the form. Remember not to get this dried leather hard clay on the floor. Just either put it in your slip cup or toss it when you're done. So I'm just carving out around it because it's a lot easier to do it this way, the subtractive method. Or you could cut out the whole ear. That just takes a little bit more time. Okay, so I'm going to come on the side here and use the corner of my tool and carve a little bit more away, so it really pops out and looks like the side of your ear. So it's kind of undercut. This is why you needed the leather hard clay that I asked you to make earlier this week and last week. Okay, so I'm doing kind of the corner of the loop tool. If you don't have a loop tool, This is going to be hard. I gave you guys all tools, or asked you to come in and get them if you didn't bring them home with you. Okay, now I'm going to get more to the interior of the ear. So for the interior of the ear, I'm going to carve out this inner part. And I can do little parts like this where I kind of chip away at it. Remember to remove those clay boogers because that makes it sharp. We're not going for perfection here, we're just going for a little bit of realism, and if you cut something away that you didn't mean to cut away, you can add it back in. So right here is deeper. You know, right, this part right here is a little bit deeper, so I'm going to carve that in a little bit deeper. So the ear is definitely a little bit more of a challenge than some of the other pieces that we have made. Okay, and then this top part right here has a little more indent, so I'm going to carve a little bit more of that away up here. You can also kind of feel your own ear, and that can help too. I'm going to make this a little more of an angle. So you kind of work around the whole thing. You don't just stick to one spot at a time when you're doing sculpture. Okay, so I've done a lot of the subtractive part. So I'm going to do the additive part. So I'm adding wet clay to leather hard clay. So when we're done, you're going to have to put it in a Ziploc. You don't necessarily have to spray it. So I've got my nice soft clay. So the easiest thing to do, I can wipe this away because I'm at school on a table here so I have some space, is just to take and roll it in your hands to start and then on the table. And because you're adding to leather hard clay, you need to slip and score. In the video, she did not slip and score because she was with that white clay because that was air dry clay. So I'm going to do this on the top and on here. And I'm going to add that so it pops out a little bit more. And then I take a little slipper water and smear it on there. Now I might need to go back in later and refine this, but you can take a little water and stretch your clay out and pull it to make it thinner. Okay, now there's some little pieces in here, like in the video she showed you all those parts of the ears. You don't have to get that detailed, but you do want to have some areas that pop out and some areas that are recessed or inside. That's a little thick. So you just rolling up little coils. So these are almost life size. If your finger doesn't work, you can use your stick, if you have that, or your loop tool. That can help you attach, or a little bit of water on your fingers to start attaching. Okay, and then you just see where you can add or subtract. Now there is an important part right here where it sticks out. I can't remember the name of it. I don't know all the anatomy of it. Maybe you do, because maybe you're taking anatomy. Okay, so I'm going to put a ball there and get my fingertips wet and just start to attach that part right above the earlobe, and that really, really helps. And then it is kind of carved away, so even though this is wet clay, I can still kind of carve a little bit away there. Okay, and then your earlobe. So I'm going to carve around this. So I'm doing additive and subtractive at the same time. So the ear takes a little bit more time and practice than the eye and definitely the nose. The nose is probably the easiest one to build. So then I want to put one more coil here. And then if you want to get really detailed, you can spend more time and pause the other video that shows all the anatomy and detail. But I do want to add this raised part right here. So we're not making a cartoon ear. You want to try to make it somewhat realistic. So now I'm doing that inner part that pops up a little bit more. That's a little too thick. So sometimes you have to take it away and try again. Roll it out. Slip and score. Okay, that's better. Okay, so then a little bit of water will help you attach it. All right, so a little bit of water on your fingers, you can go in and you can smooth around it, not a lot. You don't want it to get too plastic and sloppy. But I can smooth and I can adjust. I can carve and press. Ooh, it's like I'm cleaning an ear. I need a Q-tip. Actually, a Q-tip might work pretty good for carving. Okay, and then check the side of your ear too. Maybe you need to adjust the side. Maybe you need to add a earlobe, big earlobe. I have tiny earlobes, but you might have a bigger earlobe. So you can add some clay on and make the earlobe bigger. Maybe you'd even draw a little or put a little earring in it or something. Okay, make sure you are taking a picture of this and uploading it to your slideshow and then sharing your slideshow with me. There's your ear.